Good morning, everyone. It is December 31st, 2018. I'm here at Blacklisted News. As you can see here, I have a few tabs open. I'm not really sure if I'm going to cover everything in one video or break them up, but we'll see as this progresses here. Bankruptcy leaves Detroit police abuse claims unpaid. Sources, AP News. Excuse me. And by the way, it makes you wonder how these guys' pensions are doing since Detroit went bankrupt. And it also makes you wonder how many more cities are going to be right behind it. And these are going to be real brief here. So, Detroit could have been on the hook for millions of dollars in a lawsuit alleging police abuse. Lawyers, however, are closing the case after 8 years, acknowledging that the claim of possibly 200,000 people are practically worthless. The reason? Detroit's 2013 bankruptcy. In 2010, the 2010 lawsuit, which described poor conditions in holding cells and excessive detentions, was in progress when Detroit became the largest U.S. city to seek protection from predators. The city eventually emerged with a clean balance sheet, a robust downtown, and a national buzz among millennials. But a new, flush Detroit doesn't mean a windfall for people who won the case, the class action case. So, Detroit went bankrupt. They got a clean credit, or however you say it. They got protections from their creditors. What makes me wonder how many cities are going to be behind Detroit, and it makes me wonder about these guys' pension here. So you might recall that across the country, the pensions of public service people were in serious peril. But who knows? This one comes from Tyler Durden. I see no way out. Countless Americans still living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you're like me, you've taken years and years and years of utter bullshit, and this is one of those things right here, living paycheck to paycheck. A recent Philly.com article noted that despite the supposed economic boom, professionals like real estate agents, farmers, business executives, and computer programmers are still living paycheck to paycheck. Responding to a Washington Post inquiry on Twitter, millennials, Generation Xers, and baby boomers that work in a range of geographic areas claim that they have simply been unable to save, as rent, childcare, and student loans have all gotten in the way. Americans living paycheck to paycheck were highlighted in a recent report from the Federal Reserve that showed 4 in 10 adults say they couldn't produce $400 in an emergency without going into debt or selling something. You might recall I covered that about 3 months ago. And now a partial government shutdown that is seeing nearly 800,000 federal workers not getting paid has fueled the discussion on Twitter about how brief income lapses can be disastrous for some households. Um, I do believe they get paid they get back pay. This is from a woman named Taylor Futch. My husband is a park ranger in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and he had to sign his furlough papers. We have a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old, and we don't know when his next check will come. Mortgages due. Christmas in 2 days. That's what you get for working for the government. Another Twitter user wrote, "I broke my lease to accept a new Fed job for which I have to attend 7 months of training in another state. Training canceled to shut down. Homeless. Can't afford short-term housing. Have to work full-time for no pay. Returning Christmas presents." And these people, I looked for the article, were whining about the government shutting down and how it puts such tremendous stress and financial burden on their households. This is a great example of why you should not be dependent on the government for a job or food stamps. Those involved in the conversation on Twitter have been using the hashtag shutdown stories in response to Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, who asked reporters last week, who's living that they're not going to make it to the next paycheck? Well, I'll tell you what. You don't even make it to the next paycheck. You make it to 3-4 days before your next paycheck. And then you're stuck those 3 or 4 days without any cash. I know, because it happens to me all the time. Heidi Scherholz, a former chief economist at the Department of Labor, has the answer. It's astronomical what people need just to make it month to month. Given the high cost of transportation, housing, health care, there's often no wiggle room. This holiday season, about 2,000 employees working basic government jobs like housekeeping and security are all not getting paid as a result of the shutdown. My supervisor told me we won't be getting paid, so my bills won't be getting paid. One State Department cleaner said matter-of-factly. Even outside the government shutdown, professionals across the nation are having trouble making ends meet. The chairman of liberal arts at a Southern California college, Sol Smith, said that he's simply unable to save with 4 daughters and higher health care costs. In quotes, "I see no way out. I am 40, have built a strong career, have 17 years experience, and if something were to happen to me, my wife and kids would be homeless within a year when my life insurance ran out." So this illusion of, there's so many good jobs and the economy is doing so well. That's all it is. It's an illusion. That's it. Donald Trump is a lying sack of shit. Of course, they all are. Lanny Hansen says she has trouble buying groceries after paying her $2,249 rent on her LA apartment she shares with her husband, who is a software engineer. They are raising 3 children. She earns $40 per appointment as a certified car seat installer. It's not a bad little gig there, $40 an appointment. But how many appointments does she get? That's like me. When I get a computer job, I make anywhere from $60 to $120 for like an hour's worth of work. But the flip side of that is it's hard to keep a steady flow of people bringing their broken computers, or cars for that matter. One of my favorite jobs to get is a brake job, because I get paid $60 for 45 minutes worth of work, if that. It's great. But on the other hand, if you don't have a steady flow of car repairs, excuse me, you're screwed. So, you know, this whole idea that there's all these great jobs out there, it's not true. The last really good job I had was driving a rollback wrecker for commission. 30% commission, and that was a damn good wage right there. But I'm an asshole, and I don't like people stealing my money. So that job ended. Let's go on to the next here. Covered that. Just said that. Okay, so this is about your beloved hypocrite president. FBI reportedly has fake green cards given to undocumented immigrants working at Trump golf course. This is out of Rolling Stone. Supervisors at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, provided fake green cards and social security numbers to undocumented employees, according to a report in the Washington Post. Annabelle Romero, a lawyer representing 5 immigrants who were undocumented while working at the Trump property, told the newspaper that he turned the fraudulent documents over to the FBI. I'm confident that federal and state authorities will conduct a complete and thorough investigation, Romero told New York Times, or New York Daily News, in an interview. So, I wonder what's going to be made of that. That's a nice looking place though, isn't it? Alright. Connecticut law states mandatory flu shot for pre-K students before the new year. And what's up with this? I mean, the CDC has even admitted that the fucking flu shot is ineffective. And many other people and institutions have come out talking about just how toxic and ineffective and dangerous the flu shot is, and yet Connecticut deems it their duty to make the flu shot mandatory for small children who may end up near vegetables for the rest of their lives. Connecticut state law is making flu shots for pre-K students between the age of 2 and 4 mandatory. Kids have until Monday to get the vaccine, or they won't be able to go back to school. I would be suing the fuck out of that state if my child got injured. Let's see here. Is this a clip?
Protecting yourself from the flu happening today. The city of New Haven will hold a flu clinic at the health department. It's the flu season, and doctors say one of the best ways to stay protected is to get that vaccine. So if you want to get you or your child vaccinated, you can head to the health department, which is located at 50.
The doctor must know.
And this morning until 3 p.m. Connecticut state law is making flu shots for pre-K students between the ages of 2 and 4 mandatory. State law requires them to get a flu shot by Monday before going back to school in the new year. Officials say in the U.S., 20,000 kids ages 2 to 4 are hospitalized with severe cases of the flu. The law is certainly getting some mixed reaction this morning.
I do think that it's important to protect all of our kids. Obviously, getting the vaccines can also help people that they're exposed to as well. So I wouldn't suggest it for kids. I wouldn't.
The law is pretty simple. If children don't get the vaccine, they won't be able to attend school.
And then, of course, them not attending school will get you arrested and your children taken from you and everything else. And the thing about this is the doctors should know. They should have got the CDC memos, and yet here they are still pushing this big pharma garbage. Angela Merkel, or Angela, if you please. Nation-states must give up sovereignty to the New World Order. This is from Zero Hedge, or tapainfo.com. So, this will be the last one. And if I come across anything else to talk about today, I will. Nation-states must today be prepared to give up their sovereignty, according to German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who told an audience in Berlin that sovereign nation-states must not listen to the will of their citizens when it comes to questions of immigration, borders, or even sovereignty. No, this wasn't something Adolf Hitler said many decades ago. This is what German Chancellor Angela Merkel told attendants at an event by the Konrad Adenauer Foundation in Berlin. Merkel has announced she won't seek re-election in 2020, and it is clear she is attempting to push the globalist agenda to its disturbing conclusion before she stands down. In quotes. In an orderly fashion, of course, Merkel joked, attempting to lighten the mood. But Merkel has always had a tin ear for comedy, and she soon launched into a dark speech condemning those in her own party who think Germany should have listened to the will of its citizens and refused to sign the controversial UN Migration Pact. There were politicians who believed that they could decide when these agreements are no longer valid because they are representing the people. But the people are individuals who are living in a country. They are not a group who define themselves as the German people, she stressed. Merkel had previously accused critics of the UN Global Pact for safe and orderly migration of not being patriotic, saying that that is not patriotism, because patriotism is when you include others in German interests and accept win-win situations. I guess to Angela Merkel, a win-win situation would be the German ladies there being sexually assaulted by Muslims. I cannot stand to look at Angela Merkel. She is one person whose head should be on a fucking pike. You know it? You can't stand her. You just look at her. Her words echo recent comments by the deeply unpopular French President Emmanuel Macron, who stated in a Remembrance Day speech that patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism because nationalism is treason. The French president's words were deeply unpopular with the French population, and his approval rating nosedived. Macron, whose lack of leadership is proving unable to deal with the growing protest in France. Got that shit right. Hopefully the French people burn that fucking place to the ground. Or at least the government buildings. Anyway, I thought I would share these series with you. I'm not sure if there's anything... No, I've already shared all this with you, so... But it's still 6 o'clock in the morning, and so I imagine there's going to be quite a bit of news coming out throughout the day. I will try to get to it today at some point. Until next time, kill the state before the state kills you.